Welcome and thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. I hope by the end of it you'll be able to understand the report a bit better, or if you already had a fairly good understanding, just be a bit more confident that your understanding is correct. The report is nearly always a folded over A3 sheet, and the front page of that will look very much like this. It will probably have the school logo on the top, the date at which we're doing the report, the student's name and their tutor group, and some short information there from Mrs. Phelan, the head teacher. The back of the report will look like this, and it'll have some information that helps you understand the data that's inside the report. The inside of the report will look like this. And for year 7 and 8, we have our subjects listed on the left, the teacher of the student on the right, and then we have our information within the main body here. There are 3 sections to that. There's the school forecast grade and projected GCSE outcome. They are the levels, to do with levels at which students are working or projected to be working at. We then have the engagement, behaviour and homework. We call these our attitude to learning descriptors. And we then have a focus for improvement. It's quite likely that in the future, to add to the engagement, behaviour and homework, we will have a literacy comment as well, about how students' literacy is supporting their progress in each subject. The descriptors for those will also be on the report. The back of the report then has those descriptors. What does it mean to be outstanding for engagement? What does it mean to be outstanding for behaviour and for homework? And similarly for good, inconsistent and poor. It's probably best that you read those off a paper copy of the report rather than try and zoom in and read them off here. We also have the levels we're going to give. If we look back at the inside of the report, we have the school forecast grade and the projected GCSE outcome. Both of those are done as numbered grades. Students currently in year 7 and 8 will not be getting what we've come to understand as GCSE grades of A star to G. They'll be on a new number grade system. And what does the number 4 mean? Well, if we look on the back of the report, we've put that there for you to help you. So we've got what the current grades are, and then what they will be under the new GCSE grades. I say that with a large measure of caution, as we keep getting updated and the DFE and various bodies keep changing exactly what the equivalences will be. But roughly, a 4 will be a low C, a 5 will be a high C, 6s will be Bs, 7s will be As or low As, 8s will be a high A or an A star, and then we will have a 9 as being the new A double star. That will give you a rough idea of where we're heading for. I can't promise that that will be true in 2 years' time, or let alone 5 years' time. Things are changing rapidly, but this is what we're working with at the moment. Okay, going back to the inside of the report. Okay, I've talked a little bit about engagement, behaviour and homework already. That's the attitude to learning descriptors. You can go and read off what the inconsistent and poor means. It's also outstanding. Unfortunately, this student doesn't appear to have any outstanding judgments here. We have the focus for improvement. This is what the teacher believes a student can best do to improve the work they are doing in lessons, and it's worth having a read through those and discussing them with the student. You may also want to talk to those should you come in for parents' evening as well. The thing that most parents want help understanding is the school forecast grade and the projected GCSE outcome. They need to be used together to understand how the student is doing. Let's look at the school forecast grade first of all. The school forecast grade is given to us from a charity called Fisher Family Trust. When students sit their SAT papers at the end of Key Stage 2, that data is collated by the DFE. The DFE, Department for Education, then forward that to the Fisher Family Trust charity. The Fisher Family Trust charity get all the information from all schools and all students. And they've done that for a number of years now. So they're able to look back at their data and say, well, students that get a grade X at Key Stage 2 tend to move on and get a grade Y at GCSE. So they're able to forecast what the expected outcome at GCSE should be, given how well they performed at the end of their Key Stage 2 SATs. Obviously, students that do well at Key Stage 2 tend to do better at GCSE. Students that find it harder at Key Stage 2 will not do quite so well at GCSE. It's only a forecast grade, and there are of course many students that buck that trend. So don't believe it too much, but it is overall, if you look at students across the country, it works out to be quite accurate when we look at huge numbers of students. When we look at an individual student, however, it's quite possible they can buck the trend either way. So that means that a student that did very well at Key Stage 2, they don't really work that hard, can come out with quite poor GCSE outcomes. But equally, a student that struggled a bit at Key Stage 2 can actually do extremely well at GCSE as they focus and as they mature. So this school forecast grade is worked out from all that big national database. The things the database takes into account is of course how well they do in the test, but they also take into account whether it's a girl or a boy doing the test, because they have different rates of progress, and also how old in terms of the year they were when they did that test. So they do take into account for the fact that some students are younger in the year when they did that test than students that are older in the year. The other thing they allow us to do is to decide what sort of school we are. So historically, Cullompton Community College has performed around about the 20% of schools, just a bit into the 20% of schools nationally. So we do better than 80% of schools nationally, on average. In different subjects we find different things. So we have decided that for our students we ought to be aiming for at least that. So the grades that are predicted for these students are based on the student's ability, but also the fact that they are attending a school that should be doing at least as well as 20%, as 80% of other schools, so i.e. in the top 20% of schools. So that's how this school forecast grade is worked out. How well did the student do at Key Stage 2? How well is the school expected to do generally? And from that we are able to come up with the forecast grade. So this student should really be getting, all those things considered, this student should be getting a 4 in English, a 4 in Maths, a 4 in Science, a 3 in Geography, 4 in History, and so on. We then come to the projected GCSE outcome. This is how well, at the moment, if students continue to work as they are doing, we would expect the student to do at GCSE. Now that's a long way off, so we may struggle a bit to be absolutely sure about those judgments, but at the minute it's our best impression and our professional opinion of how well they will be doing by the end of their GCSE. So looking at what Mrs. McKinley has suggested here, the forecast grade is a 4, and Mrs. McKinley is saying, yeah, I think they're going to get that. I'm happy with the way they're working at the minute. They feel to me, they look to me, the tests I've looked at, the assessment I've done in class, suggest that they ought to be working as a student should be. They're going to end up getting a 4 at GCSE. And likewise, Miss Colley has said the same in Maths. In Science, however, Mr. Salado has said they should be aiming for a 4. However, I don't think they're working at that level yet. They're not showing me that they're performing in a way that I would expect a student who's going to end up in Year 11 with a 4 to be. I'm thinking they're more likely to be a student that will end up with a 3. So he has projected a GCSE outcome of a 3. That is the grade that Mr. Salado thinks this student will get when they leave our school. And likewise in History, Mr. Jones has made that same judgment. He is saying they should be aiming for a C, but actually at the moment, for a 4, but at the moment, from what I'm seeing, I think when they leave our school, they'll be getting a 3, not a 4. Music, however, and drama here have gone the opposite way. So maybe this is a student that's really keen on their art and drama, less so on science and history. We've got here a 4 is the expected grade, but Mr. Pierce there is saying, actually I think they're going to get a 5, so they're going to overperform that forecast. Okay, hopefully that gives you an indication. The real key to it is to compare what nationally we would expect if we're going to be in the school in the top 20% of the schools. What should the student be getting? Are at the minute their teachers saying they're getting that grade or not? If it matches, things are fine. If it's below, there's a cause for concern here. If it's above, a cause for big celebration, because at the moment we believe they're going to outperform their forecast. Hope that's been useful to you. If you've still got queries, do contact the school. I'm quite happy to work through that and explain with you individually. Thank you for watching.